proposing to build a new aquatic center, $51.6 million. We really have a desire to, there's a couple of reasons for this, really. Our current pool is needing a lot of work. And so that coupled with the desire to be able to host regular season competitions for our athletes so that they don't have to travel to the east side of the state, right? After you get past regular season, the State Athletic Association has requirements to be able to host those postseason tournaments. And so we really would like to have our athletes be able to stay home. I think that would be an opportunity, great for our athletes, but an opportunity for our community to come out and support them.
Can't even keep the lights on.
Okay, I know. Who didn't pay the bill?
Energy efficient.
That'd be you, Julie.
I know. All right, thanks.
There's not signs around here.
There's a sign there somewhere. All right. So then what are we gonna do with the current community aquatic center if we build a new aquatic center? So we have scheduled $8.1 million. We would fill in the current pool. We would not want to keep another pool open because it's very expensive to run a pool. And we would repurpose that space. And to be honest, we don't know exactly what that would look like yet, because that's part of that. I said at the beginning, we weren't done collecting stakeholder input. And the same thing would hold true for the aquatic center, right? Some of that detail work we haven't done. We gave our architects, honestly, some big broad ideas. We want it to be a multi-function space, right? So that it's not just a single use and then sits idle when whatever that use we've renovated it for is not in action. So we would, for repurposing that area, we would get some stakeholder feedback. We use that space. We use that space for a lot of our community enrichment programming. So we would certainly look to those patrons saying, hey, what would you like to see? You know, maybe it's some certain types of classes that require a special kind of space. I'm not sure.
I understand the cost of operating a second pool, but will the new facility be, will that have two pools or be large enough to accommodate larger groups, in the sense that, like right now with the current aquatic center is now, you know, when it was built, it was serving 4 buildings, now it's serving 6 schools, if you will, 3 middle and 3 high.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you have middle schoolers, the only time they can get into that pool is late at night. You know, sometimes they don't get out of the building until 9:45, you don't get home till 10. That seems to me that we need more capacity in that field as opposed to less. So yeah. I guess that would be something I would want you guys to keep in mind, is that if you're going to fill the pool in, it seems like it'd be a great pool still for seniors to use, and maybe the middle schools, and maybe the competition stuff and events, and high school use another, you know. Well, really would have made the most sense probably is to just build another pool on that building on the north side, but now that's where they put the administration building, so you can't really add onto it.
And the transition center, so it's
right.
not just administrative services. So, you know, that's a common question, right? And part of the broad specs that we've done is there will actually be 2 sheets of water inside the new aquatic center. One would be smaller than the athletic side, and that's because we know that our athletes like the water temperature a little bit cooler, and we know that some of our other water programming likes a little bit warmer when you think of water aerobics and swimming lessons and that type of thing. So there would be a second sheet of water that, you know, not quite sure what it'll look like, right? We haven't done that detailed design work, but that's built into that $51.6 million so that we could kind of have both side by side.
So that sounds like there would be a space then you could have a middle school team practicing in one sheet of water and a high school team practicing in the other? Potentially, yeah. Because I think that's what we should try to aim for, because it seems that there's a bit of a bottleneck there.
I think the other thing to keep in mind too, but you know, right, I talked about is expensive to keep it up, and when you think of like the cost of utilities to keep the pool even while that is, and all the chemicals, you know, the other piece is its staffing capacity, right? We're struggling right now to find lifeguards. To even serve the smaller pool that we have in place. So bringing on a new aquatic center and then keeping the old one would even put us further in that bind. Not that that shouldn't be anything, but those are all factors that go into our thinking.
No, it should be in the same building. I agree with that.
Are they looking at doing a 50-meter pool pool by 25 meters so that people can, yards, so that we can play boys water polo, girls water polo, all the teams. I mean, right now, there is just no space to do what we need to do at a decent hour of the day. And on the weekends, they're fighting to get in at 6:30 in the morning because they can't get pool time after like 7:38.
Yep, so that's all, those, we are looking at a 50-meter pool, the width-wise, I can't answer that. Because we haven't done that level of detail, right? That comes in that detailed design work that'll come, if the bond is approved, then we'll spend anywhere from 12 to 18 months designing it. And we'll get, we're going to, reach out to our aquatic patrons, right? Whether it's the athletic side, or if it's just our general community. What are the things you'd like to see in that facility, right? What, comparing it to what they have right now, if you've been going to it, and I know you guys have, right? You know what's working and you know what's not working. From a parent side, you probably know what it's like for the athletic, or your student athletes as well.
Well, Julie, I make an insert real quick. I have some experience with pools. I, 3.5 years ago, came over from Birmingham. I heard that they've got pools. That's my goal. I can't guarantee it, but that's where I requested the 50-meter movable bulkhead. The polo, there's a off year on Olympics where they train differently, and scholarships are looked at differently. That's a personal goal. And then the second pool helps with seniors. There's also zero entry, helps with ADA compliance, all that kind of stuff. So, I've requested, and again, we'll see what comes of it, but I requested one of the nicest ones in my mind in the state. It's gonna fit everything, all the requirements for state, tournaments, things like that. And so, we're pretty familiar with some of those needs, and I think we're looking at
I'm sorry, you are,
I'm sorry, Steve King, the Director of Operations.
okay, Steve.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how long have you been with us?
3.5 years.
3.5 years.
Yeah.
And before you came, the pool was so bad that half the kids had asthma, and it took them years to get the air filters cleaned.
Yeah, I think they
That's
installed some
finally
UV.
better.
Yeah, I know.
There was a bad year.
And this pool that is currently here, it's.
Well, and I mean, this comes from an era of mistrust.
I get it.
Because you're asking us to buy into this project. And you're asking for the biggest ask that Forest Hills has made, even cumulatively. Correct me if I'm wrong, Julie, but this is gonna treble our debt. This is far more than it cost to build Eastern when we expanded our campuses. And we have a pool that is poorly situated. It's not on any campus. No school can claim it. There is no pride in it. It's like, this is the Forest Hills Central Track and this is the Forest Hills Eastern football field. It's the pool. And it's diminished even more by calling it the Community Aquatic Center. Like, it's not for the students. It took us 4 years to put a trophy case in there because we couldn't have any allegiance to the school. It had to be a community center. I know Julie said she corrected this last Wednesday, but we couldn't even honor our Forest Hills seniors by putting up their picture because it had to be a community center. We used to have the raise practice there, which was one of our largest feeder programs, and the administration kicked them out.
Oh, okay. I'm just gonna pause right there with raise, because it was really a pool time, right?
Well, but
For them, it was access to the pool, and for us, the importance was our own athletes first, right? And our community programming second, and then renting it out to an outside party is third.
But what changed between when the Rays could use it and what changed afterwards?
Getting into that pool and
But
having
what changed? We
everybody.
still had the same students. In fact, we had more students. We had more swimmers back then too.
Don't we have more middle school with more middle school water polo and all of that? I think all
We
of
might have more
those
middle school
programs
water
were
polo,
added.
but we had middle school swim and dive.
Yeah.
We used to host tournaments. We used to have an invitational. And the administration said we couldn't host that anymore because it wasn't financially viable. So when you tell us you wanna host tournaments, but you told us we can't host tournaments,
We were told we had to pay money and the coach couldn't afford to do it, we wouldn't earn enough money to do water polo tournaments, so we.
every year we had a set invitational
I mean,
there.
it's tough, cause we ended up canceling all of them coming in because we couldn't afford it.
So again, to try and have trust and buy-in, it's hard because I'm the first, Forest Hills has a nice, theater. My kids don't benefit from that. They've got a nice music program. My kids don't benefit at all from that. They've got a nice track. My kids don't benefit at all from that. But that's fine because others do. My kids use the pool. I have 4 four-year varsity swimmers who've gone through the program. I've got one coming up. I've got 3 four-year varsity water polo players coming up. My butt has been in that pool longer than anyone else is in this community that I know of. I've seen that pool over the last several years. And I'm the first person to want the nice aquatic center, but I'm the last person that trusts Forest Hills to spend that money and give me value when I see what's in the current pool. And that's a real sticking point for me. And it's a sticking point for me as I talk to the coaches and I talk to the other people about this initiative. I mean, I would love to have something nice for my kids. My son was never able to play water polo because we didn't have pool space. I wish he had a chance to. So on that note, I'm all for trying to build and move forward. But on the other hand, for years, we tried to improve the lighting in that pool. We spent more on a snow melt project for the front door than the lighting would have cost. But have you been in the pool? What do you think of the lighting system there?
I think it's very good.
But, I
There's a lot
mean,
of burnt out bulbs.
we're 3 years. You've been here 3.5 years. We've made no initiative, despite bringing this up and requesting it. We're told, well, we don't have the budget for it. And I understand things are budgeted. Obviously, budgets are flexible. I see us spending money now to finish projects that were for the 130 million bond. I look at and I hate to say this, but this is cookie cutter. Everything on here, every school is environmental learning, or the 3, environmental learning spaces,
Paving,
pavement.
Paving, mechanical.
mechanical.
Yeah, the last bond proposal, every single school was for security and infrastructure, furniture, and technology. It was cookie cutter. I mean, at some point, I feel like there's not a lot of thought in this. And I appreciate you saying, well, we gotta have the money before we have the project. But I hate the concept like we have to pass the bill before we find out what's in it. And that frustrates me as a parent, especially a parent who's been in this community essentially my entire life. I grew up in the Forest Hill Central School System. Since I came back here full-time, we've had 2 new stadiums at Forest Hill Central. The aquatic center's never changed, right? I'm so used to being the redheaded stepchild. But it's okay. I mean, it serves 3 schools, but it gets less attention than any of them. Tell me, what's going to change between now and when we break ground for this that's going to make this a value proposition?